Welcome back to another episode. This week's guest is a friend of mine that I actually haven't gotten a chance to talk to in a while. Adam Brett Walker the second. A
Hey,
walk live from Tokyo
yeah,
because he's over there playing in Japan. How you feeling?
feeling good. I just got finished up with a night game, but had to come on and come say what's up to you.
I know. So to give people the context of it, I'm filming this in the morning around 10 a.m. Eastern time in the States. And it's what, 11:15 where you are? PM?
Yeah, 11:15. Yeah,
Hey,
so
your
that's
your
about
boys are
that's about
off
the
a
best we can do
walk-off
with this
dub.
time change. Yeah,
Yeah.
guy backside walk off homer. Gotta love it.
Hey, God, at least it's a dub. But yeah, I appreciate you coming on. I know it stinks, but I know you're a night owl, so this makes it at least
Yeah.
manageable.
Oh yeah, that's fine with me.
Um, yeah, so I'm gonna give a little bit of the background for you, which I'll explain
Mhm.
also when I do the intro. But you started, obviously, you play baseball, you're over there playing in Japan, and you started your career though. You were a third round pick out of JU, fins
Mhm.
up, if
Oh
I'm
yeah.
not mistaken.
Yep.
I'm getting my lingo down. Fins up, yeah,
Yeah.
baby.
Hands up, baby.
Twins. It's where you're third round pick by the
Mhm.
Twins.
Yep.
Uh, you made it all the way up to AAA, and
Mhm.
then trying to remember across the lands of your teams. It was Twins. You spent time with the Braves, the
Twins,
Orioles. That's where
Braves,
we met with the
Orioles.
Orioles.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, so
The
Orioles, and then
Nationals,
I went over to the Reds, and then the Nationals. So
there it
yeah,
is.
I bounced
And
around.
then and in between also, you've also done independent baseball,
Hmm.
because that's where you met another mutual or you we forgot. We all got together, former teammate of mine, Garrett Copeland, who was your
Uh,
teammate with the
hey,
what was it, the Milwaukee Milkmen?
yep, Milwaukee Milkman. Yeah,
Let's go. And actually another connection, Tim Dijon, DJ is a coach in
ah,
the
yeah,
Orioles
yep,
organization.
that's right, that's right. Yeah,
Small
great
world.
guy, great dude.
But did I cover it enough with that? Was
Yeah,
that okay?
yeah, that's the journey.
So let's just start with that because I think you've played a lot of baseball now. You are 31,
Yeah, 31.
31.
So,
So I'll just safe to say for you, you got off to a really good start. Things were moving pretty quickly, and then you were right on the cusp of
mhm,
having a chance to
mhm,
you thought of being ready to be in the big leagues.
mhm,
Um, and then it just kind of felt like that opportunity never fully came about. Um,
mhm.
can you kind of just walk me through? I know, but a little bit for everyone, the listeners
Yeah,
there, of feeling like you're right on the cusp and you feel like you're there, and it just feels like it. In some ways, I don't want to say slips away, but you
mhm.
kind of sit there going, "I'm at the doorstep," and it didn't happen the way I wanted it to.
Yeah. I mean, went all the way up through with the Twins, got to AAA. Uh, you know, thought you're hoping to get a call there at the end of the season. Next thing you know, bounce around on waivers, and teams are excited to have you. I was with actually with the Brewers first, and then went to the Orioles, and then to the Braves in the off season. Started with the Braves, and then came back to the Orioles. But yeah, just you know, partially probably my fault. Just you bouncing around, and you're so close. You put pressure on yourself. But I mean, it's all part of the journey. It all worked out. Now I'm here. I'm still playing ball, so no complaints.
Yeah, for sure. But I hate saying, don't say it's your fault. I mean, yeah, like at the end of the day, it's our numbers and stats, and we
Hmm.
perform well. But I mean, the level you got to where you were, things happen, right?
Oh yeah.
It is what it is. But if I'm not mistaken, though, because your situation was you being put on waivers and picked up when you say you got picked
Hmm.
up so much that year. Is that
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. So I
And
was.
so people were asking me or recently, because you were the first case that I saw it in person, but it's happened a lot. It still happens, you know, yearly in baseball. It
Yeah.
happened with a player named Lewin Diaz, who's with the Orioles AAA team in
Hmm.
Norfolk right now, where he was put on the 40 man, cleared, picked up by somebody,
Hmm.
waved
Yeah.
back up. So it's a business trade that people have been doing for a while. For those that are
Yeah,
wondering.
definitely.
So with all that happening, and you were ready to kind of start anew, was there any point of view that wanted to move on from playing, or did you think that maybe you should try something different, or were you still pretty set that you knew you could still make this a career, even if it wasn't what you initially anticipated?
Um, I definitely went through a phase where I was considering, moving on from baseball. That was probably, let's see, 2018 was with the Nationals. I go there. Next thing you know, they put me on the Phantom. I don't play the rest of the year. Like 2019 comes around, I'm signing up to go play indie ball, and just that was with Copeland. So Copeland can give you all types of stories too. That was an interesting year. Just off the field. I mean, I was telling someone the other day we had like an 8 hour bus trip. Bus breaks down, turns into like 13 hours. We hop off the bus. So the next day we have a day game. We go in there. I shower up. I put my uniform back on and go play a day game. And I'm sitting there kind of like, do I want to keep doing this? So yeah, I started trying to plan for the future. Ended up going back to school, got my degree. So I'm happy about that. But yeah, I had some injuries, and I said, you know what, I'll give it one more year. Next thing you know, I went MVP. I'm like, well, I got to do it again, run it back. Did it again, and now I'm in Japan. So it's kind of crazy to think that for quite a while during that year, I was considering just kind of hanging up the uniform and being done.
I mean, we kind of all hit that point too, especially when things don't
Yeah.
go again according to the plan that we initially had
Mhm.
hoped. Hell yeah, it's you on getting your degree, by the way. Congrats. I just finished up mine last month.
I
Um,
saw that. Congratulations.
yeah, thank
Very
thank you,
nice. Very
thank
nice.
you. We could have had some celebratory tequila. For those who don't know, actually, I think our bond or our friendship might have started over a little bit of tequila, talking through some times in our life. It was your start to your Orioles career and mine
Yeah.
as well. We definitely will need to toast that when you get back to states. But in all seriousness, I don't think. I guess in a different way, there's never a time for it's never easy to go back and do it as it gets older, right? To finish your degree,
Yeah.
but also that there shouldn't be a set age on when you can finish it. You know,
Oh yeah, definitely.
so
So
I think whoever's out there that needs to finish it up, like if you're already there, you might as well just finish it. All right. So while you were in school, you were also working a job, and obviously you're still playing. So what were you
mm.
doing? What was work?
Yeah, so I ended up picking up a job at a leather shop. Had a family friend who had a leather shop and made leather goods. I think I was getting ready to send in my application to Lululemon, and my mom's like, "Hey, you need a job?" I was like, "Yeah, I think it's about that time." And she told me that that the guy had an opening. He welcomed me in there. Next thing you know, I'm cutting, painting, sewing leather together, and that was my part-time job.
Yeah. So what you described what one does working at a leather company, but like what are some leather items you made?
Well, we made a lot of belts.
Oh,
Uh, yeah, a lot of belts, and a lot of wallets. So those are some of the big objects there. For me, starting, I was the guy I had to take the leather hide, put it down, take the little cutter, and you have like this giant like block, goes down, boom, presses it like a little cookie cutter. So I cut out just little square wallet pieces all day. That's
that
that's what I started out on. while the owner he got to do all the fun stuff and actually sell the stuff together and finish the products. I got to start it, and then I got to put them in the bags and ship them out.
Hey, for really, like, so you're kind of the,
Uh,
the starter and the finisher in some cases.
yeah, yeah,
So you know what I
exactly.
was thinking of? I need to eventually do a segment on what do jobs professional baseball players have done,
Oof,
you know,
yeah, that.
for work trying while they're trying to make it. Because even though you're an indie, like independent ball for people that aren't
Mhm,
as familiar, it's out of affiliated baseball, which means they're not, there's no, those teams don't have any affiliation. So the minor league teams of like the Orioles, the Nationals, the Twins, you know, those teams, those are the feeder teams to then go up to the big leagues. The independent ball, you're trying to get your way back in. So essentially it's another form of minor league baseball for those that are wondering. But yeah, Ewok, I mean, the amount of stories, I mean, we know this, the jobs people have had to get by, the grind. Um,
oh yeah.
you know, it ain't easy chasing the dream.
No, definitely not. But that would be an interesting segment. I would listen to that one.
You know what? We might have some ideas now. I got a few different projects actually working now. I got a Ryan Ripken show that just launched yesterday or
Mhm.
whenever this episode comes out. The first episode was on June 29th,
Okay,
and
nice.
we're thinking of different segments. You know, that might be
Yeah,
one.
hey, maybe.
It might. Well, there might be. We might have to just have you come back on later on and give an Adam's appetite. But that we'll get to that down the road
Ooh,
here, because
yeah.
I know you like your food.
Oh yeah, I love it.
But so
Eating good out here.
I bet you know what? Save it because we're gonna get into that. So you finally then you have great years with the Milkmen in Milwaukee.
Mhm,
And so
mhm.
how the opportunity even come about for Japan? Like I don't even know how that works. Is that your agent or
Yeah, so I've had my agent ever since, I was drafted by the Twins in 2012. So we've still worked together, and I kind of just sat down with him. I think after that 2019 season, I said, you know what, I was considering quitting, but I'm like, hey, I think my resume, and I think I'm a good enough ball player like to make some money. I'm like whether I go to Mexico, to Korea, league in Taiwan, Japan. Like even if I can't get back to the big leagues, like I want to go somewhere. I think I should be able to make a little bit of money playing baseball. Um, so he took that to heart, and he pushed hard, and I got the numbers to back it up for the next 2 years, and um, the Giants they pulled the trigger and took a chance on me, and now I'm here for year two. So
year two? And so I was practicing this, the Yomiuri Giants.
yes, Yomiuri Giants.
I feel like we're
So
not saying it the same way.
I don't know. It sounds good to me, but I I'm not too picky.
I
But
don't want to offend anyone in Japan because the thing is I'm a huge Giants fan, especially because you're on the squad, you know?
oh yeah,
Um,
yeah. You could just say the Tokyo Giants. Just play it safe. Everyone's gonna know that.
okay, Tokyo Giants, big fan of the squad. So they come calling after you have the big years.
Mhm,
Did you have walk me through then going over just culturally, you know, going to Japan and it's you're out of COVID now. Your first year over there was 2022, so last year, correct?
mhm. Yes, yeah.
So,
So last year.
so kind of walk me through then. You're excited, but what's on your mind going in there for the first few days in a foreign country, new opportunity, but you have
Mhm.
really, had you been to Japan before?
No, no, never. Yeah, that was a first. That was the longest plane ride. First time over an ocean. So that was a bucket list thing for me there. But I think it goes back to, I talked to my agent about going somewhere to play. So I decided to go play winter ball in actually 2020. So this was mid pandemic. But I went to Colombia. they had a shortened season, so that way they still wanted to do the Caribbean series that we actually won and were able to go to. So that was my first real experience of kind of just getting out and going to a different culture. I realized all the little bit of greetings and the little bit of Spanish I spoke to my teammates was not enough. Once I got off that plane and I realized no one spoke English, it hit me, and I was like, I got a lot of work to do. Um, but I think that helped me kind of coming to Japan because I knew I'm like, this is this is going to be a different level. I'm like, I can't read signs, I can't read menus, but I kind of Google Translate some stuff, and I figured it out from that experience before. I was in Colombia, I was in Mexico, so a little different, but it kind of prepared me to come over here.
I would say, yeah, foreign baseball. I think just even you're talking about just getting used to language barrier, but just even
Hmm.
cultural barrier around. I guess I'm really curious about around the game. I think when we played in affiliated baseball, professional baseball in the States, there was obviously a lot of English speaking Americans and whatnot, but
Hmm.
we were introduced more to the Latin culture now, but they were still
Hmm.
on, US turf. So it's going to have a different feeling. What are things that
Hmm.
you noticed on the cultural side of the game when you went to Colombia and then going to Japan?
Um, well, I guess Colombia and Mexico culturally is it's much different than coming to Japan. I will say I thought both the fans in each place, that was one thing. They're very loud. They're banging drums and like they're chanting. Like here, they're chanting a lot. Um, and they're just very active. It like feels like I'm at a party. And when I was in Mexico and Colombia, their fans they're very loud and just like it's like feels like a party, and they're there and they're having a good time. So that was something that was different for me. That I had noticed. In the States, I mean, fans are great in the States, but they're you get people that want to go there and have a beer and hot dog and kind of hang out with their friends. They cheer when good stuff happens, but they're fans here. They're very passionate and they're locked in, and it's pretty interesting to see. They're locked in all game.
I'm glad you brought that up, and because you're right, fans are passionate in the states, but in some of these
Hmm.
countries outside of the U.S., I mean, baseball is one of the premier, if not the premier sport. Like in Japan, I feel like
Hmm.
this burning love. I remember watching the World Baseball Classic and just the amount of
Hmm.
excitement that was around the team, and Japan wins the WBC. Tremendous,
Hmm.
right? And
Yeah.
so what you're saying, it's really just cool to hear that when you're in there, that was one of the things that you noticed, off the bat as a player.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely. So it was definitely a big change. Definitely, you notice it. I think part of it. I came to Giants. I go to Tokyo Dome, and we get 55, 55,000 people packed in there, and I was just playing indie ball with 10,000 people, and it's like, I mean, wasn't like nervous or anything, but it was just like this is cool, just and they're all. Last year was a little different because there were still actually COVID regulations. I didn't get to camp spring training on time because of like the country was still shut down, so I couldn't get my visa. So I showed up late. There were still regulations with fans and coming to the stadium, but this year they've cleared all restrictions. The borders are open. There's visitors coming from all over the world, and like it's it's definitely different. I can tell it's very live, and I mean they got people playing trumpets and horns, and they got chants for every player. There's guy in scoring position, they got a certain chant, and it's like, I mean, and they're going all game long. Like it doesn't matter if it's 10-0, they're still going for it, and they're still rooting us on, and it's like it's pretty cool.
What? So you say they have chants for everyone. What's a chant for you?
Um, I mean, well, I translated. So I got one this year. I think translated, it's like, let's go Walker. Pretty much like hit a home run, hit it to right, hit it to center, hit it to left. Let's go hit a home run. Kind of roughly translated. That's kind of how it was described to me. Um, and it's it's pretty cool. I got a walkout. So they kind of picked one. I went for RBI opportunities, and
Hmm.
it's from a old like samurai movie. This got these like horns. I think it's pretty majestic. They're like, "Hey, what do you think about this?" And like these trumpets come in, and I'm like, "This sounds like a movie right here." They're like, "Yeah, it's from like a samurai movie. It was really popular." So like that comes on. Now I'm pinch hitting, guy on right in scoring position. That song starts playing. Next, you know, as soon as it finishes, they're like clapping and they're chanting my song. I'm like, this, I gotta get a hit. So boom, RBI, get a hit. Like place goes crazy. It's so fun.
It gets the people going. It's
Oh yeah,
they know what they're doing, and you're the perfect
yeah.
guy for the job. I do want to hear the chants in Japanese. So if there's a way, I'm going to try to Google and find if there's any sorts of chants,
Hmm.
AWOC chants. I gotta get that in my life. Um,
All right,
I just
yeah.
think that's awesome. On the speaking of then just the game, and people
Hmm.
have talked about it, but for a lot of people that would listen, you know, baseball in Japan is still at a very high level, elite level. I mean, you're
Hmm.
looking at some
Yeah.
guys just came over. There's one guy in the U.S. that is the best player in all of baseball, and Shohei Otani,
Yeah.
and he is a Japanese product. But
Hmm.
obviously, Major League Baseball is still considered the premier league to be in because of what it
Hmm.
attracts. What is the
Yeah.
style then specifically for I'm more intrigued with the pitching side. So what's the
Hmm.
difference that you've seen between the pitching in professional baseball in the States compared to over there overseas in Japan?
Um, yeah, it's I mean, there's still a lot of great arms, of course, like the major leagues is the major leagues, but it's it's different, in the States, I get a scouting report and like, okay, it's, this guy's got a fastball. It's his fastball is either straight or like it's got a two seam, it runs. It's like, okay, that's his fastball. He's got a slider, and it's like sometimes he throws a changeup. I'm like, I'm like, all right, cool. You get a game plan, you go out there and you compete with that. I come here in like my first game, and the data guy comes to me like, all right, cool. Like, he's got a fastball, four seam fastball. He's got a two seam. He throws a cutter, a slider, two strikes. He goes to his fork ball. Sometimes he throws a curveball, and then he's got two curveballs, like a normal, like your normal power curve, and then he's just got like the eephus curveball. It is like, and sometimes a changeup, and I'm like, are you? I'm like, are we playing wiffle ball? Like, what do you? What was that? And then the next thing you know, the next pitcher comes out, and he's got five pitches too, and I'm like, all right, well, you gotta, and I'll go into an at bat, and I'll get five different pitches. Um, but I mean, I think that the equalizer is a lot of guys that throw a fork or a splitter. A lot of guys have a splitter, and there's some good ones. I think that's the big equalizer here in Japan. But I don't know, fastballs, I don't know, a lot of spin rate. I feel like, and then the fork ball, and then you just kind of they're it's crazy. Pitchers will go out there and they'll throw a 200 pitch bullpen and just try to dot up all their pitches. And it's like, so in the States, like a guy will dot up his fastball and, but it's like they're trying to dot up 4 or 5 different pitches. So it's I think that's the big difference.
Yeah.
Maybe not throwing as hard, but they throw a lot of. You never know what you're going to get at any point in an at bat.
They throw a lot of they throw a lot of junk. The kitchen sink is
Yes,
what actually I
yeah,
think it's referred to. But
yes, they throw the kitchen sink.
it's a good point though, because I mean we know this in professional baseball now. To be a starter, you want to try to have 3 pitches, right? Like you
Hmm.
initially want to have 3 pitches to feel good. You have 2 that can keep
Hmm.
people off balance, and then essentially one, out pitch, so to
Hmm.
speak.
Yeah.
And then the bullpen, it's really you need to have it's usually a fastball, and usually mainly for a lot of the guys, it's like a slider or a splitter or something like that in the bigs.
Hmm.
Again, 2 to 3 pitches
Yeah.
max. And
Yeah.
they throw them really well, but it's way different.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, good. Well, hey, good luck to you. I mean, clearly you've had success so far with what you're doing, but that would make my head
Hmm.
spin. And for those who don't
Yeah.
know, for you can just absolutely launch balls. You always could, still are. Um,
Yeah.
but you were even saying your role right now is you've had to pinch hit quite a bit. Like you've learned how to
Hmm.
do that.
Yeah.
That ain't easy. I don't know. So
Yeah.
talk about that? How did you clearly? We joked about it before, and they said, "Oh, you're a really good pinch hitter." It's like, well, I think I'm a good hitter,
Yeah.
but what?
Um,
Yeah, what do you? Um, yeah, what in your mindset did you are you doing to help? Because I think a lot of people struggle with that. It's not easy to do.
yeah. Well, I think one part of it is I have to tell myself that I'm a good hitter. So when whoever you're going in there, you gotta compete, and I don't. Whether it's fake it till you make it, I tell myself like I can get a hit off this guy. So that's probably the first thing. Um, because I think before I caught myself, I was in a pinch hit role, and I'm like, well, this is hard. Like, no, you go in there, you get out. It's kind of like, well, that's you're supposed to. Pinch hitting's hard, but I think I just kind of had to change my mindset and mentality. But yeah, I mean, also been working on my swing. The big thing was for me this off season was just uh, just more consistent barrels, and like when I for me it's like when I swing the bat, I want to put the ball in play. Um, so yeah, I mean, you're pinch hitting, especially certain roles. It's different when you're starting a starter. He can kind of try to pitch around you a little bit, see what you're if you're going to chase a little bit, but you go in an opportunity and you got guys in scoring position, and like the pitcher, he doesn't want to mess around, and he's not trying to walk you. So my thing is like he wants to come after you. My big thing, if I get a pitch, I got to put it in play. Um, Overall, it's been going pretty well. I'm hitting just under 300 right now. Got 6 homers, so um, we'll take it. I'm trying to go. I'm trying to get better every day, but still work to do. But overall, it's been going pretty well still.
And for people to know too, for it, you got 6 jacks, 6 homers in limited at bats. I think you're at
Mm.
88 at bats, like 90 plate appearances. So you're doing great. You know,
Yeah.
it's
So
like in 42 games showing, yeah, you're getting a lot of pinch hits because the numbers, if you look at it being a full game, it doesn't add up. But you also spent a little time in like
yeah.
the minors over there, which I didn't even realize with Japan and their system. Is there only one league
Hmm.
or 1 or 2 minor league or levels, or how does that work over there?
Yeah. So I mean, there's pretty much one level. It's kind of like I mean, I'd say just if it's like you're playing MLB The Show, and you just back in the day, and you just get sent to AAA on road to the show, and then you play a couple games, and then you go up to the big leagues. Um,
There
that's
it is.
that's kind of how it is. It's there's one level, Our team, we actually have two. There's a couple teams that have a third team. So they call it the first team, second team, and the third team. I'm on the first team currently. Uh, but it's interesting. I'm down there and I'm there and I'm playing with. There's a guy he's 40 years old. He was kind of in my role last year. He's a great pinch hitter. And he's 39. They signed it back. Uh, Kind of had a slow start, and so he's down there. He's 40 years old, and he's still playing, doing his thing. But then next thing you know, there's the 18-year-old like high school kid that just got drafted, like first rounder, and it's like, so it's definitely different because I'd say like, oh, it's like AAA, but it's like you got maybe your kind of typical AAA guy, but then you also have your like typical rookie ball guy, and they're on a team together.
They're all the same one.
So
How
it's
many
yeah.
rounds are there? You saying it's Japan has a draft. How many rounds? Do you know how
hmm
many rounds there are?
Um,
Roughly? Guesstimate?
I think I, I want to say like 7.
Okay. But the
Yeah,
point
I think
is you
it's
can have an 18-year-old kid be playing with guys that have been playing professional baseball for years. There isn't this tiers level like there is back in the US.
yeah, yeah, for real. I mean, it's like you're literally one call away. Like you get drafted. I mean, there's only I think maybe 6 or 7 rounds. Um, but it's like you're one call away. Uh, our closer last year guy turns into he's a rookie, but he started spring training. One spring training is 2 months long, so it's a long time. But he started with the third team actually. So he started with the third team, um, which is like you get a 3-digit number. Once you and it's kind of like the 40 man. It's like once you get put on the 40 man, you get a 2-digit number. And then so he started with a 3-digit number, ends up pitching really well. He's a rookie, gets a 2-digit number, ends up pitching really well. Next thing you know, they're like, "Hey, this kid's kind of the real deal," which he was drafted to be the real deal. And next thing you know, he's our rookie closer, and he's an all-star, and he's like, I think he was second in the league in saves. And it's like,
Yeah.
so I mean, he was one call away. It's it's crazy, but I mean, that's just kind of the way it is here.
Can you imagine being one call away in the when you were getting drafted by the Twins? Can you imagine? Hey, 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 you're going right to AAA. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
One
I mean,
call.
I think uh, talking to somebody, I think Chris Sale, I think he did something like that. Like I remember, I was a freshman. I I faced this guy. I I strike out 3 times. Next thing I know, I playing summer ball, and my friend talks to me. He's like, "Hey, you see Chris Sale on TV?" I'm like, "Oh, like what happened? Like, did he like, uh, would he throw a no hitter and like a ball?" He's like, "No, he's in the big leagues. He was in the big leagues, throwing out of the bullpen." And I was like, "All right, well, it made me feel better about my 3 strikeouts, that's for sure." I was like, "Well, he's striking out big leaguers now." Um, but yeah, you definitely don't see that very often. Guys just climbing the system like that 1, 2 years. It's
No.
it's definitely a different journey here.
Oh, for sure. But also, you make a point, even in the States, it's the same thing. Like, it's rare to climb that quickly. I mean, you can have
Yeah,
guys go through
absolutely.
quicker, but
hmm
there is an expectation. Like, right now for the Orioles, they're waiting on, Adley, there's a COVID year and everything like that. Jackson
hmm
Holiday or Gunnar Henderson came up pretty quickly from playing. Jackson
hmm
Holiday, the number one overall pick last year. He's in
hmm
high A right now. He's crushing it.
Yeah.
And he might get to the bigs, maybe have a chance at the end of 2024, but that's on the quick
hmm
scale. Like most guys, it's
Yeah.
3, 4, 5, 6 years. It just depends.
Yeah.
Um, Nature of the beast. But I'm glad you're having a
Yeah.
great time over there. But that's kind of more the fun part of it because now we're going to go into Adam's
hmm
appetite because
All
I know
right.
you love food. I gotta know about what you're eating over in Japan. Like, what is on Adam's appetite that you never expected over there?
Um, Man, well, of course, the coming to Japan, I was like, okay, there's gonna be great sushi. I keep hearing about this Kobe beef and the Wagyu steak, and I'm like, so I keep hearing about that. I know all that stuff, and it is delicious. And the price is actually amazing. I think about how much I pay at a steakhouse sometimes back in the States, and I'm like, so but I mean, ramen, you get your noodles, udon, soba noodles. I didn't realize there were like five different types of ramens, either your miso, your tonkatsu, your your soy base, your salt, miso tonkatsu mix, like there's a seafood base like broth, and I'm like, I asked some of my friends, I'm like, my teammates, I'm like, oh, you guys like ramen? They're like, yeah. I'm like, what kind? They asked me what kind. I'm like, ramen. They're like, well, I like this one, I like that one. I'm like, my gosh. But there's all, I mean, there's so much. I think the one big thing that I didn't know about, it's called okonomiyaki. So I go to Hiroshima. There's two different styles: Hiroshima, Osaka, okonomiyaki. Hiroshima, they like layer it, and it's like, I mean, it looks like a Japanese pancake. They put it on the grill. It's like a thin layer, like some noodles, some like veggies, kind of like a cabbage and onion. They some I think squid in there. Uh, some garlic on top, and it's like, and they grill it and they flip it. Next thing you know, it like comes out. I'm like, this is just like a pancake, and they have this like sweet kind of sauce on it. But I was like, it was so good. I had no idea what to expect, but they're like, you got to try it, and it was really good. But that was the one new thing that I had no idea what it was all about. But that's one fun thing that I like to get every once in a while. It's probably not the healthiest for me, but every once in a while I have to go get some.
Oh, you gotta do what's good for your soul. I need you to
Oh,
send me a
exactly.
photo of this next time.
All
Send
right,
it,
yeah,
send
yeah,
it
I got you.
direct. I need to see this. Uh,
Yeah, no, I got you.
because my mind is all over the place with this, but I'm really into it. Is it bad that when I think ramen, first off, I meant to say this, is that I just
Mhm.
think about like the cheap ramen that people buy in the States, like, and it just is such a slap in the face to ramen
Yeah, no,
lovers
it's
because that ain't ramen. That
no,
ain't
that's
ramen.
not ramen. The cup of noodles, you know,
It's like the
no, that's
college
it's
kid. It's the college kid's diet, I think.
oh yeah, I mean, I've had plenty of it, and it and it hits the spot, but it is definitely not the ramen that they're serving here. I mean, there's even some great spots in the States, but yeah, I mean, the food here is very very good, and I don't know, it's different because something about it. I feel like the portion sizes are very small. So we have our
Yeah,
team dinner, and it's like, and they give you like little like trays, I guess, and you can kind of like buffet style. But I'm like, what is this? So I pick up one, and I'm like, keep picking up these little trays, and I'm looking around on my plate. I'm like, I feel like I have so much food, but then I look back at some of the meals I have back home, where it's just kind of like you get one big portion, and I'm like,
yeah.
yeah, it probably adds up to the same, but so it's different. I love the seafood here too. I mean, they do that well. They do that very well. I mean, of course, sushi, but um, I mean, food here is fire. You got to come check it out.
You know what? I've always wanted to go. You're convincing me more that I need to get over there sooner than later. It'd actually be cool to go over if you were still playing over there. That'd be sick. That'd be a lot of fun. You could
Oh,
really then give me the
yeah.
actual tour of what to eat. I would just pick where we'd go, and I'd go and eat it. That would be
All right.
phenomenal.
Yeah. I
What?
mean, that's what I do with my teammates.
Hey, there you go. I mean,
Hey,
and
go to
that's like
dinner. I'm like,
people
hey,
helping
just
people.
pick some stuff, and yeah.
All right. Hey, craziest thing then that you tried in Japan then?
Um, Craziest thing I've tried. I mean, probably. I guess it's called Motsunabe. It's I, they pretty much they didn't know how to describe it. I don't know. It's like beef. They said it, I don't know, stomach, organs, kind of. I don't know if it's intestines, but it's like they use
Really?
that as like it's dude, that's what I was thinking. I'm like, hey, we're going to dinner. I'm like, all right, cool, let's go wherever. I didn't really ask any questions. Next thing I know, it's like this giant pot that's kind of the base, and it's this miso like broth, and then they have some vegetables that go in there, and it it was really good. Like, I mean, it was like giant like broth. They boil it up, but I stopped asking questions. I'm like, what is this? They're like, I don't know. It's like beef. Like they kept kind of pointing at the stomach and stuff. I'm like, all right, don't we don't need to get into it. But Motonabe, um, it actually was really good. They told me it would be very good. I listened.
Mm,
I gave it a try, and and then I take that, and then they gave us some like ramen noodles on the side. Boom, put that, throw that in the broth, and had some noodles like as your like finishing meal. It it was very good, especially the miso based broth.
okay. Well, I'll
I
take
don't
your
know how to
word for it.
describe it, but
Beef
yeah,
organs is what I'm getting out of this. Something beef that we don't know. So,
no, it was not your normal steak, that's for sure. But
well,
it,
I'm glad you enjoyed. I will say this. I had a different case. When I went to Australia as a kid with my family,
mm,
we went to the outback down there, and we actually
hmm
it had like a giant Ayers Rock. We rode around on camels on Ayers Rock, and just like it's a
hmm
cool area, awesome. We finish up
yeah,
there, and they give us snacks after, eat it, and then there's this item that they feed us. Like, wow, like it tastes like, oh, this is like a really different flavored chicken. Um,
hmm
And then they go, "Oh, it's not chicken." And before I could look over at my mom's face. She did not want to know. And then they're like, "Oh, that's camel." And then she like looks over at the camel
Oh,
we were on, and then goes
oh
like,
my
"Oh yeah."
goodness.
And she goes like, "You mean like that camel that?" He goes, "Well, not that one, but." And I'm sitting there and I'm like, "Oh my god." Um,
Wow.
yeah, it was something
Uh,
right out of like a movie in that case.
Yeah,
Also learned
I
that
mean,
camels can hold their bladders really long. That's a whole different story, but, um, yeah, that
wow.
blew my
Yeah, I
mind.
mean, yeah, I'm sure.
But ta but
That
it
same restaurant, they brought out some squid. We had a squid plate where they had like squid layered on top of a live squid,
live
and
squid?
it was. I mean, yeah, it was. I think it was dead, kind of. They're like, hey, squeeze a lemon over it. You squeeze the lemon, and it
Wait,
next thing you know,
kinda.
it starts moving. I'm like is this for real? Like, and then next thing you know, we ate the squid that was like cut up and prepared on that plate. They took the plate and then they came back with a like a fried like tempura, and they throw that on the table, and I'm like, I was like, oh, cool. So I give it a try. I'm like, oh, this is squid. They're like, yeah, this is the squid that was on the table. I'm like, that that makes sense. But yeah, they throw the squid on there. They're like, hey, squeeze it with some lemon juice. We seasoned it up. They took it back. Next thing I know, they fried it up, and uh,
Have at it.
I mean, yeah, I was like, oh,
But
poor
I still
thing.
can't.
But
Is it? It can't be kind of dead. It's either dead or alive, right?
okay, I guess yeah, it was alive. You know, unfortunately, they squeezed the limit on it before I can get a good video, so I couldn't
Uh,
get it moving. But
well, you're gonna have to go back. You're gonna have to go back and get some documentation. I
all
might
right, I
not
got
watch
you.
it, but I know I will watch it. I got you. I'm a little bit creeped out, but I need this. We need this back here.
You know,
Especially for
well,
you.
we didn't eat the live squid, so that we got that going for us.
Hey, you got that going for it. Well, hey, I mean, like,
But they did put it on the table though.
well, yeah, I don't. I think I'd be fine, but I'm just a little bit trying to wrap my head around what that looked like, or the experience, I should say. Are
Yeah,
you? I know we talked about like tequila and stuff. Did you ever get into sake over there?
yeah. It's definitely growing on me. Um, I mean, yeah, you got to try it. You know, you're out here. They and unfortunately, I went back home. I tried to get some. It's not the same. The stuff out here is really good. I mean, I actually I just picked up some. We had they call them countryside game. So we went up to like northern Japan. Like the rice there is supposed to be really good. So it's a rice wine. So the rice there is pretty good. So just kind of different from the stuff you get in Tokyo. Uh, Had a teammate. We went to another countryside game in Niigata, which
Mhm.
is considered like the best rice. And uh, my teammate, his family actually runs a like they grow rice and they make sake. So he ends up giving me a bottle because we were just talking about it. He's like, yeah, like my family, you know, we make this. We have our own company. We make sake. I'm like, oh, that sounds good. I'm sure it's delicious. Next thing you know, he comes to my locker one day. Boom, here's a bag. Gives me a bottle. I'm man, you're too nice. But I'll give this a try and let you know what I think.
No, no, I
It was
can't
great.
take it. Okay, thank you.
You're too kind, but thank you.
I could never accept this. No, no, no. Thanks, thanks. It's good. This is great. This is what I that's why I miss seeing you too. What I always loved is that you always had stories and you always were willing to explore in different places and cultures and try to get the most out of it. And because we'll get close because I need to get I need to get you out here to get some sleep. But as we're getting close to wrapping up, is that kind of been a correlation for you of how much you want to explore? And when you're people might think right now you're a little bit more reserved because you just played a game and it's midnight. But the people that know
Yeah.
you back home, I know you as a very charismatic, fun, adventurous guy.
Hmm.
Is that for you instilled? Is that something that like that's just how you view life? You want to try to just I don't want to say get the most out of it, but you've never been one I've noticed to be complacent on just sitting around.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of goes back. We talked about Adam's appetite and just I I just remember in the minor leagues and I go to I mean, granted, some cities aren't very great. Not a whole lot to do, but I go to a city, they're like, "Oh man, I have family there. Like, what you think of it? How'd you like it?" And I'm like, we stayed at a double tree. The bed was comfortable. The locker room was a decent size. Great place to hit. Small field. And the ground, but the infield dirt was a little hard. And they're like, but what about the city? and did you get to see this like monument? Did you get to this restaurant? I'm like, no, I just went hotel, field, back home. Uh, and it made me start thinking like, I got an opportunity to travel around and play baseball. I should try to do something, try to just get out of the hotel, explore a little bit. So I started going to get some food and find a place to eat. Um, Now here I went and I got a nice little camera. I got my Sony camera. I keep that in my backpack. So the other day I walked around and there's a shrine and stopped by there. Uh, just kind of walked through the park, took some pictures. Just so I've been trying to get out, just explore, so that way when people ask me like, "Oh, you've been here," I have something to tell them, and it's been pretty enjoyable and just trying to make the best of it.
Yeah, I mean that's what it's about. I mean, that was something for me. I did the exact same thing starting off in my career. I didn't want to. I felt like
Mhm.
I had to focus on baseball, and I sometimes put too much stress on myself because of it. Where then it was I need to
Yeah.
just go to the field and back. But the human side of you, you need to release and also kind of enjoy the experience. And I think it's a
Hmm.
good way to look at it. We only this part of our life is temporary, and
Hmm.
if we just you know focus on one sole thing, which is our job, and I get that,
Hmm.
you're going to miss out on the rest of the journey that comes along with it. So
Hmm. Yeah.
for anyone that's in pro ball or anyone that's in any profession or you're traveling with work, like go explore the places you go to. you know
Yeah.
I don't think
Absolutely.
even if I had a weird time or like not as good of a time, I have a great story. I can guarantee you that. Um,
Yeah,
through it
definitely.
all. So I got two more things and you're out of here.
Hmm.
What
Yeah.
is, if there was a piece of advice you could give people, one thing that you live by or that resonates with you?
Um, just I think I would say I would probably say I try to impact somebody's life. Just if you could try to impact somebody's life, just one life each day. That's something I try to live by. Just sometimes it can't be a huge thing, but sometimes it's just I'm able to stop and say hi to a fan, or give them a fist bump, and then like next thing you know it comes back to me like, oh hey, I my kid was here and they got to meet you, gave them a fist bump, they love baseball now. And sometimes just just random small little stuff, it comes back to me and it kind of changes somebody's perspective on something. And I love hearing that. I mean, if you could help somebody out in a big way, that's great. But I try not to stress about it, but I just try to tell myself, let's see if I could, just if I could impact somebody's life and make it a little bit better. Just at least one a day, and then I'm heading in the right direction. So I think that's something that I try to live by. I think if people try to live that way, we'd be making everybody happy.
Yeah, I mean, I think in some cases I've realized, and I've had it happen on both sides, where someone, it might be insignificant to that person, but it meant the world
Hmm.
to me. And
Yeah.
in other cases where I think it's a small thing that I did could mean the world for them, and I didn't truly
Hmm.
actually understand that more until, it's after the fact. I've gotten a
Hmm.
couple
Yeah.
letters or I had someone come down the road, I'm sure you have too, where
Hmm.
you realize the impact you had without just by being kind and doing something that helps someone
Yeah.
else,
Yeah.
which I
Definitely. You
think is
kind of
awesome.
realize afterwards, but I mean, it does hit you, and I mean, I think it's a good feeling for me.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. And then last thing, where do I get one of those shirts?
Oh, this one right here.
Yeah.
Um, s- uh, so again, talking about just kind of getting out exploring. We had an off day. Um, I'm in Osaka, and we're here, and everybody's heading back to Tokyo. I tell my translator, hey, it's called Himeji, and there's a big castle. It's like one of the biggest castles in Japan. And I'm
Mhm.
like, hey, our off day, like, I'm going back this way. I'm gonna go see Himeji Castle, and I mean, it's probably an hour or so by train. So I just go there by myself. Went out there, took some pictures. I'm walking down the street, got some ice cream, and next thing you know, I see this random shop. It's called Himeji Inn. They got it's an artist. He like draws and has all these just like super cool like artwork. Had a huge like piece of art on the walls. So I just kind of go in there. It catches my eyes. Um, and next thing you know, I start looking around, and he's got a bunch of cool shirts. He's got stuff like this. There's some like graphic T-shirts with some of his artwork and that he made. And I'm like, well, I gotta get it. So, um, maybe it's called Himejian, and yeah, I mean, I actually just put it on my had to share it on the gram, outfit of the day, and gave him a little shout out today. So
That's
I,
what.
I
Hey,
super
I love
super
it.
cool shirt. And
It's sick. Next
it
time you're in
feels
there, I
great too.
will. It's got a what?
I said, and it feels great too. It's a quality shirt.
Perfect. Hey, got quality over there. Well, hey, if you run across
Oh
one of
yeah.
those, seriously, I will send you. I will pay for it. I'll
All
pay it
right,
in
deal.
advance. That thing, I need one of those. Like that
All
is
right.
that in the wardrobe. But that's all I got, Adam. Hey, it was great catching up with you, man.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
and we'll have to get together when you're back in the States, or I'll try to make a trip over there in the future. But best of luck the rest of the way, and we'll chat soon.
Appreciate that. Yeah, definitely. It's great talking, catching up. So we'll talk soon, and yeah, hopefully we get together this off season or something.